Hey everyone, welcome back to the Hardcore Italians podcast. Today we are joined by an actor, writer, and director best known for his long-running role as Ron in General Hospital and for his powerful one-man show I'm Not a Comedian, I'm Lenny Bruce, which was directed by the and earned rave reviews across the country. He's also appeared in the hit show Criminal Minds, which Joe Mantegna also was in and still in, and he's a proud Italian American with deep roots in the community. We're excited to dive into his story, his work, and his passion for keeping Italian American culture alive. Please welcome Ronnie Marmo. How's it going?
Hey, what an introduction. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
Of course, I know we're super excited to have you on. Thank you so much for doing this once again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Of course. Ronnie, I want to kind of start off with a little bit of your background, from the beginning, growing up. You were born in Brooklyn and you were raised in New Jersey. Can you
hmm
tell us a bit about your upbringing and how it shaped you both personally and professionally?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I still am a very proud Italian American. And it was interesting when I was growing up, my great grandparents came over from Italy on the one side, my grandparents on the other. And I thought I was half Napolitan, half Sicilian until recently. And I was ago. My whole life I've been saying I'm half Napolitan. Anyway, I'm full Sicilian and proud of that. And growing up, we had all the traditions we had in the old country, except really interesting. My grandparents didn't want us to speak Italian because it took them so much to get here that they were like, "You're American, please be American." They were so proud of that. Then the next generation started to embrace the Italianness again. Do you know what I mean? So it was interesting growing up hearing like, "Listen, please, we worked so hard to get here, just be an American." And but with this face and this voice, it's hard to hide in a group, if you know what I mean. So that's what it was. Sunday dinners. Everybody lived in a three-story brownstone. The cousins, aunts, uncles, and we were all very close. And it's really, hardworking, blue-collar people. You
Mhm.
know.
Yeah, that's awesome too. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you touching on the story too, just with the language, because I feel like not a lot of people understand. Like, I don't know, on social media we get it all the time. Like, if you don't speak Italian, people don't think you're Italian, and it's like, well, when we came to America, we were like, I don't know, we were like treated like scum. You know what I mean, for being Italian. Like, we wanted to Americanize, and there was like reasons, and I just feel like people just disregard the history and whatever. So I appreciate you touching on that. It's good for people to listen to, you know?
No, I agree. I agree with you. Chris Cuomo, I don't know how you feel about Cuomo, but I watch him most nights. I like what he says. And he always talks about that. It's like, he's like, we made it. We're white. We're white. They consider us white people now, but it wasn't like that when we first came over to this country.
Yeah.
I remember I have vivid memories as a very little boy. My great grandpa had a fruit stand in Prospect Park there in Brooklyn, and they used to come and knock over his fruit stand and treat him terribly, And so we had our own struggles when we got here, and now we're assimilated, and here we are, right? So,
Yeah. Also too, to touch upon that because my grandparents they came here in like the early 60s, right? So in Canada, everyone immigrated later on because in the States it was a lot earlier, right? But even my parents, like I feel like they almost not that they didn't want to be Italian, but I get what you mean. Like it's almost they like for example, like I could have been called Adamo, but I'm called Adam, and my middle name is Alexander, not Alessandro. So and also growing up, like we did the tomato sauce every year, but I feel like as time went on, things kind of stopped a bit. But I think I
mm.
kind of want to bring that back with my kids eventually. I want to kind of keep that tradition going. But it is a lot of hard work. I mean, like for my parents now, they're in their early 60s to make tomato sauce all the time every year. It's tough. It's not a lot of work. I don't know how the nonnies did it. They do it like at 80, 90 years old. Still, my parents are in their early 60s. They can't even do it.
Well, that's because that's what their life was dedicated to. They get up in the morning and go, okay, let me think about dinner. How do I get to dinner? And the whole day was centered around getting to dinner. And that's what they did, and so they put all their energy on it. I remember first time I went to Sicily, I was like 18. And I remember sitting there, and they're still living that way in the old country. It's amazing. I remember all the ladies were over and they had flour all over this table and they're rolling gnocchi. And they spent all day doing it, rolling gnocchi, a little dip in it. And I'm like, they spent 8 hours on this meal every day for dinner. I'm like, who has that kind of time? Because Americans and maybe Canadians, we're overworked at this point. But that was their focus.
Yeah, food, family, they do it
Yeah.
right, man. That's why Italian culture is important because it's like it reminds me you gotta stop working so hard all the time and enjoy life a little bit too and food and um
Well, yeah, I'm so proud to be Italian, truly. And you don't have to speak Italian to be Italian. I mean, that's kind of silly.
yeah.
It's funny when I'm in Italy, though. Some of the Italian words that we've decided are Italian words in America, they're like, "What are you saying?" They're like, "That's what does that mean?" Like my Italian cousins are like, "What do you say?"
Oh
You
God, what words?
know, menagot. They go, "What's
Yeah.
menagot?"
Or how
Menacot.
about agita? They don't even know what that is, agita there.
No, they don't know. So there's so many of those things. I'm like, oh, that's an American Italian slang. I
Oh
see.
yeah.
We made that up. That's not really Italian.
Yeah.
So,
Italian
but
American slang's fun though.
I know, and I'm so proud. Honestly, thank God. I really do thank God I'm Italian. I'd rather be nothing else. It's amazing.
100%.
So,
And you told since you listen to Chris Como too, I don't know if you ever heard his dad. I had to look it up because I don't know if you ever heard, but at his 1984 Democratic National Convention speech, he talked about like what it means to be Italian American, and it's like a beautiful like speech. Like you'll cry. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but I'll send.
Mario, yeah, I haven't heard it in a long time. My dad used to listen to him, and Mario Cuomo. I mean, this guy was, really important to the Italians in this country. And so, I got to go. I'll dig it back up and listen to it. I'm sure it's very
Yeah,
special. And these guys,
yeah, we
it's
wrote,
amazing.
wrote about it on our blog before. You're right. I mean, they definitely really care about being Italian. So,
Absolutely. Yeah,
one,
Cuomo on, live TV every night ends up using fugazi and lots of different words that make us laugh. I'm like, yeah, like, hey, the fugazi. The whole thing's a fugazi. And I'm like, all right, that's funny. So,
Fugazi, it's Fugazi. Yeah.
yeah, exactly,
Um,
exactly.
But Ronnie, you said a lot of times Chicago's like your second home. Why don't you tell me a little bit about Chicago and why the city resonates with you so deeply?
I honestly love the city of Chicago. So what happened was I had never been there, and of course I knew about it. And being a theater guy, I always wanted to get to Chicago because I know how respected theater is there. So it was always on my mind, but I never really had a reason to go. So what happened was we opened the Lenny Bruce show in Los Angeles. We ran for a year and a half. So Joe Mantegna and I, who's my director, but also my mentor and my dearest friend. And so I say to Joe, what do you want to do next? He said, well, let's go to New York. So we go to New York. We run 9 months, 100 performances. It goes really, really well. So after that, I was like, well, I guess there's only one place left. And he's like, we got to go to Chicago, my hometown. He's like, you're going to love it. And so when I got there, I just fell in love. It's unbelievable. It's like this savvy, smart theater audience who demand greatness, but yet they're rooting for you, and you feel that energy of the support. A lot of other cities, it's not like that. But in Chicago, like they buy the ticket, and they're like, "Let's go!" And you feel their energy in the audience, ready, and they want to support you. So, and then you have this like city mentality, but Midwestern people.
Mhm.
And there's a kindness to that. And I know there's generalization. I'm sure there's a couple of jerks in Chicago, but there's just this kindness and this thing that I fell in love there. And so I have lifelong friends now, and I've been back. I went there the fall of 2019 for the first time. And now over the last 6 years, I've been back at least four, five, six times doing the Lenny Bruce show and now the Bill W. and Dr. Bob show, which I'm sure we'll talk about. I met my wife there. She was on business from New Jersey, just visiting.
Oh
We met
wow.
there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was
How cool
cool.
is
It's a really
that?
fun story. Oh, it's a fun story if you want to hear it quick. So
Yeah.
she's full-blooded Italian as well. Nice, nice girl named Janelle.
Yeah.
And so Janelle was in Chicago on business for the weekend. She lived in New Jersey, up in Montclair. And I was doing the show, Lenny Bruce show in Chicago. And one night she was supposed to get together with her friend it was over a weekend. She stayed a little longer to hang with her friend. Her friend said, I'm sick, I can't come out. Janelle Googled best show to see in Chicago. Thankfully, mine came up. And there was one ticket left in the front row, one ticket. It was sold out. She bought the one ticket. And that was November 8th of 2019. And after the show, we did a double take, and I went, oh God, there goes the rest of my life. Literally,
My God.
literally, we
Oh
were
my
like,
God. Man,
we're
that
like, oh
sounds
my,
like
It's
a
meant to
match
be. It was
made.
meant to be.
Yeah, it's meant
it
to
was
be,
meant
man.
to be.
If one
Yeah.
little
So
thing
she,
goes wrong in that and that never happens, you know what I
no,
mean?
That's right, right, right. That whole like chain of events doesn't happen the
Yeah.
same way. It doesn't happen. And then, the pandemic, which was obviously horrendous for everybody, it was actually for our relationship, it was pretty good because we had all this time to talk and get to know each other in a way that you normally wouldn't have time for. And it was cool. And now, we haven't missed a day since that day. And now we're married since July 2nd. It'll be 3 years this
Oh,
July.
congrats,
Nice.
man.
Congrats. Yeah.
Thank you. Joe Mantegna got ordained to marry us. So Joe got ordained.
Are you
He married,
serious?
yeah, Joe. Yeah, let me see if I have any pictures I could pull up quick. Joe
Yeah.
married us, and and it was pretty magical. Here, I bet I could pull one up real quick. Yeah, no, he never did it before. I'm like, Joe, I want you to marry us. And oh, here it is. Yeah, oh, here it is. Here's Joe and I at the wedding. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's a beautiful picture, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then here's Joe and I waiting for her to walk up.
That's
That's so cool,
amazing.
man.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love it.
yeah, yeah.
You
It's
guys are looking
cool.
sharp.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
we actually spoke. Yeah, we
here's Joe
spoke to Joe
Barry.
Mantegna. We spoke to him on the podcast a long time ago. He's a really nice guy.
I call him Father Giuseppe now since he married us. He loves it.
Zaza.
Joey Zaza. And it's really crazy. I mean, he's a very special guy. If you interviewed him, you know how
Yeah,
he's really one. He's one out of one.
yeah,
Mhm.
very
Uh,
down to earth guy. Yeah,
he's the best. So yeah, so that's the story. I met my wife in Chicago, and so that meant a whole bunch to us. And in fact, there's a great picture, trying to find it. This is my wife and I, literally, we hadn't said even hello yet. There's a picture that we hadn't even said hello. Let me pull it up real quick. This was because after the show, what happens is I usually stand out by the step and repeat. And people say, "Oh, can we take a picture?" And of course I do, and happy to do that. And then the stage manager said to her, "Would you like to take a picture?" And she said, "Okay." And so I'm gonna find this picture. You're gonna die. We hadn't even said a word to each other yet. Oh, she's gonna kill me. I'll have to yell to her, Janelle. She's better. Can you text me that picture? I can't find it. They're going to be like, oh my God, you're not going to believe it. Um, anyway, I don't want to hold up the interview, but
Oh, you're fine.
you
Tell
get
us,
it.
tell us a little bit more about the shows you have coming up in Chicago, though.
So here's the picture. I found it.
there's
So
it.
we hadn't said a word to each other. Okay, that's the first moment.
Oh my God! Wow,
That's
Yeah,
the first moment.
you
the
guys look
first of
like
many.
so happy too.
Yeah, we were locked in, right? Anyway, so I'm really excited. I'm bringing this show back. It's called Bill W. and Dr. Bob. It's a really cool show. It's playing at North Shore Center for the Performing Arts. It's in Skokie,
Yeah.
Illinois. And we're doing 8 performances. We open May 30th. I play Bill W. I play one of the two title characters. And it's a cool show. It's the autonomous. It's how these two 25 talk about a series of a chain of events that happen. And if one thing goes wrong, they don't meet. And came together and, as you know, literally changed the world.
Mm.
Because before that, they were throwing drunks away and they didn't know what to do with them. So the show is very, very special. When you hear a show about Alcoholics Anonymous, you probably think, oh, it's going to be a big downer. It's funny, it's inspirational, it's heartwarming, it's very, very cool. And we attract a lot of theater goers, but we also attract people who have been affiliated with the 12 steps in any way, or should. Everybody has a cousin who probably went through the program or should. And so it's a very special tour with that show now. And I don't know what to say other than I can't believe I'm coming back to Chicago once again. We'll be there this Sunday, and we're there for 15 days, and we're going to do eight
That's
performances.
awesome. Yeah, and like it's interesting that you're so involved with the the theater arts, but also in regards to like acting in film and television. Obviously, a show that you were in, General Hospital. Obviously you've done so many episodes. Actually, it started off as just a 5 episode role. How did that evolve into? I read it was 150 episodes. Is that correct? Like that's crazy. How did it
Yeah,
evolve to that? Like what was this, what's the story with that?
it was so weird. When I first got the job, I was doing a play called Danny and the Deep Blue Sea. If you're a theater person, you know the play John Patrick Shanley, who wrote Moonstruck. He's one of my favorite writers, and he wrote Danny and Deep Blue Sea. I'm doing this play, and one night there's four people in the audience. Literally, nobody came, and one was the head writer of General Hospital. And the next day he says to me, "You ever think about being on a soap opera?" I go, "Not really. I mean, I'm an actor, but I don't see myself as one of these hunky beefcake guys, you know? I'm not sure that's my bag." He goes, "No, no, you should." He's like, "I've been thinking about this role for a long time, but I never felt like I had the right actor." He's like, "I
Wow.
want to." He said, "Do you know who Serpico was?" And I said, "Yeah, of course I know Serpico." And he goes, "I'm basing this character on Serpico." And I go, "Okay." And he goes, "Give me a month." And everybody, anytime somebody says, "Give me a month," I go, "Yeah, okay." He's never going to call. So a month later to the day, they go, "You start work Monday." And I said, "Well, how many episodes?" And he said, "About five, I guess." And 3 years later, I did 150, and there was no rhyme or reason. They just kept writing and writing. They put me in the main storyline with Sonny, who, if you know the show, you know he's the man on General Hospital.
Oh yeah,
And
my mom loves Sunny on General
uh,
Hospital.
I'm
Our
sure
dog
she
got
does.
named after him. That's how crazy it
Well,
was.
she'll know me then if she still watches because I was
Oh yeah,
his
she's
main
a
nemesis.
fan for sure. Yeah.
Oh, cool, cool. I was his main nemesis, and I was a gangster for like a year undercover, but I was really FBI, and
Mhm.
I ended up busting the guy and Sonny, and Maurice is a sweetheart. We're good friends, and so I did that. It ran for literally 150 episodes, and what a blessing, you know. And then I just, I've been very lucky. I've been able to keep working over these years, and
Mhm.
it's been really great. In fact, I was just in Montreal, Adam.
Oh,
I just shot Ghosts up there. You
okay,
know the
interesting.
TV
When did you shoot that?
a couple of months back. It just aired like 3 weeks ago. You know the show on CBS is very funny. It's
I
called
gotta I
Ghosts.
gotta check it out. I'm not familiar. I gotta check it out though.
Oh, it's very silly, over the top, funny. It was a British show and they brought it to America, and it's the number one hit comedy on CBS.
I'll put it down on my notes right now.
Yeah,
Ghosts.
Ghost, you'll laugh. If you like campy and you have to kind of give over to it and go on the ride, it's really silly. But I got to play a really funny Italian American actually. Every once in a while, I play a guy named Vinny. So I was Vinny in that, and it just aired, and we shot in Montreal. Great people, Canada.
Wow.
So
Yeah, it's a good cast too. I know some of these actors and actresses.
And Ronnie too.
check it out.
Sorry, I was gonna say on General Hospital too. You grew up in an Italian American neighborhood on the show, and like Adam was saying, it was 5 episodes and ended up being hundreds. Like, do you think that drew from just growing up in an Italian American neighborhood in your real life? And kind of tell me a little bit too, because I know you do writing and acting and all this stuff. Like, do they let you kind of flow with it, or do you have to be line by line by line? Like, how do you know what I mean? How do you draw on that?
It's cool. That's a good question because I thought it was really cool that they really embraced me. Like, I'm the only guy in soap opera history that was saying things like, Fugazi, or I'd say like, "Did you see what Derek Jeter did last night? He went 2 for 4." Like, I'm talking Yankees
Yeah.
on General Hospital. I was always talking about the Yanks, and they were like, "Oh my God, that's crazy." So, in fact, Babe Ruth's grandchildren sent me a care package of like a signed bat and all this beautiful stuff from the Babe, saying my grandpa would have loved you just because they were fans of General Hospital.
Mhm.
So, so being Italian American, it was just cool that they really leaned into my heritage and my background. And a lot of it was from just getting to know me less than like writing stereotypes. I mean, there was some of that, of course, and in terms of being letter perfect, in terms of dialogue, they were pretty good about it. I mean, I always tried to give them what they wrote. Occasionally, I would try to like, change something a little bit, and they were always open to it. I didn't add like an additional monologue that wasn't there, but I could like mess with a couple of words here and there and make it a little more authentic to what they were going for. So I was grateful they really leaned into it, and it was a cool job. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm still very, very close. There's a guy in there called Dominic Zampronia, who's from Toronto. He's from
Okay.
Ham. He's from Hamilton.
Oh,
I've
nice.
been I've been up there with him, and he's a huge General Hospital star. He's been on for 15 years, and he and I started one day apart. And he plays. His name is Dante Falcone. Falconeri. I haven't been on the show. I forgot the names. Falconeri.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of Italians on the show. Lisa Lo of my best friends. She's an Italian from Detroit, so they really embrace the Italians on General Hospital. It's cool.
Yeah, they probably got the
Yeah.
culture down by now.
Sorry, Mike, you cut out. What'd you say?
I just say they probably got the culture down by now because I know Italian American culture. It's like it's specific. There's certain things we say and don't say, and I feel like if you're not Italian, it's hard to get necessarily, you know. So that's why I appreciate that
Well,
answer.
you're right, Mike. You know what made me laugh, Michael, is when I would look at the internet when I first got on the show and they'd go, "Oh, that guy's not Italian," or "That accent sucks," and I would laugh. I'd be like, "Oh, okay, lady from Wyoming who's never even been to New York," you
Yeah.
know.
Everyone knows always something to say. Hey, Ronnie.
Oh God, that internet, this social media is destroying us, guys.
I know, I know,
Just
but even like being Italian American, like obviously I'm always and Mike's the same way. We're advocates of like we always want to see more Italian American stories, not just Italian American, Italian in general, right? Seeing it on the big screen or just in any type of realm. Do you always try to like uh put your Italian American culture into projects you do? You always try to find stuff like that, and you kind of be an advocate for that for storytelling as well?
Well, it's interesting. That's a really great question because I don't know if you guys got a chance to see it, and if you didn't, you can get it sadly free on YouTube, which is annoying. But I wrote a movie years ago called West of Brooklyn, and I wrote the film, and that's how I met Joe Mantegna. In fact, I met Joe because I asked him, I found his PO box and wrote him a long letter, and I was like 27 years old, and I'm like, I just got to Hollywood. I wrote this movie about good Italian American people. And there's no gangsters, there's none of this, there's none of that. And he read the letter and the movie and called me a few days later and said, I read your movie and I loved it and I'd like to meet. So anyway, we shot West of Brooklyn, and it was important to me to make West of Brooklyn because it was about a kid who was a secret poet. He was a beat poet in the streets of New York, and nobody knew he was a poet. And he was an Italian kid, and all his friends were just neighborhood guys. And his idol was this guy Gaetano, who was a secret poet from the Bronx, Gaetano Pacito. And Joe Mantegna played that character. And so they come face to face in a really pivotal time in this kid's life. And, you know, when Joe and I first got together, he said, "You know what I love about your script?" And I said, "What's that?" He said, "There's Italians named Dante as well as Capone." And I said, "Thank you, Joe," because it was important for me to tell those stories like you're asking, Adam. And in fact, there was a time early in my career I said to my manager, I don't want to play any more gangsters. How many Vinnies am I going to have on my resume? You know? And then she said, look, be the best at those roles. Get all those roles. Make those characters three-dimensional. Don't be a don't just Mama Luke. Make
Yeah.
these human beings. Tell their stories. These gangsters have lives too, so tell their stories. And then what's going to happen, she told me, is at some point people are going to find you valuable, and then they're going to let you play the cop or the priest or the bup, the beep, the boop, the doctor. They're going to let you play the doctor because they're going to go, okay, his face and his name somehow brings value to our project. So we'll let him do the thing. She's like, but be the best at those roles. And there it was a great lesson because since then, I just try to make all these characters human beings and authentic and not just hide behind characterizations or an idea of a character. I don't know if you guys saw the movie back in the day.
Oh, with William DeMeo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you
yeah.
see that?
Yeah, I saw, yeah.
I'm I'm the main
No, no, no. Yeah,
nemesis.
I know you're yeah, yeah, yeah. But I
Well,
saw
if you
I saw when it first came out though.
when you watch that, if you go back and watch it, you'll see what I mean. I play that bad guy so differently than I see a lot of people portray bad guys. I play him kind and charming and nice, and I let the words and I let the the what do I call it? The circumstance tell the story and not how you doing. Here's what happened. I went in to audition for that film, and there were 40 guys in the lobby who looked just like me, right? And I'm like, and I flew from LA to New York on my own dime because I wanted to do the movie. I read it. I said, I want to do this. I want to do this. So everybody was like, it was a scene between my character and Shannon Doherty, rest her soul, Shannon.
Yeah, yeah.
The scene was Willie DeMeo and my character were nemesis. We were sharing the same girlfriend for 20 years. That was kind of the shtick. And so I come into the restaurant and the two of them are eating, and then I threaten him and say, let's go outside, let's have a fight, whatever I say, right? So, but in the audition, I heard everybody was like a bunch of gorillas screaming and yelling in the audition. So I decided that I played it really small like this. I just took it really down,
Mhm.
and I played it really nice and easy and calm. And everybody leaned forward and they started writing. And I knew I had them right there. I was like, okay, I got this. I got this. Because I want to show that we're not just one note. Italian American people, we're human beings. There are doctors, there are brain surgeons, there are lawyers, there are great people, Italian Americans. And we're not just this country glorifies gangsters. And you know what? I've made a nice living and I have nothing negative to say about it. I'm proud to do those roles. But I wanted to make sure if I was going to do those roles, I found a way to make them honest and unique and authentic. And
Mhm.
human beings, when you're the bad guy and you get killed and they clap for you at the end, that's what you want.
Yeah,
And so,
I
so go back
do.
and watch it again. I think you'll say, "Oh, I see what he means now." You'll see how I approached it.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick things up now because whenever you yeah, sometimes it takes multiple watches to pick up on certain things,
Yeah,
different
yeah.
little nuances the characters do, and like just the expressions with the eye. So yeah, 100%.
I always think the loudest guy in the room is not the scariest normally,
Hmm.
and so I tried to really lean into that.
That's badass. I love it. I appreciate too what you're saying just about like authenticity in the roles and things like that. I feel like that's what we try to do with hardcore. Like, I don't know, it's sometimes playing it up or whatever, you could get some, I don't know, like quick wins, I'd say, but when you're really authentic and care about like the values and like you're passionate and you know what I mean, you don't like overblow it to like purposely get a role or whatever. I think like your career's proof it's lasts more long term. You wouldn't get those roles because I do hear like some actors get typecast and they can only do mafia movies now and this and that. Like it's hard to get out of that stereotype sometimes once you play that role, you know?
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm so proud of what you guys are doing. I think it's important. I think having this forum, not only to have Italian Americans on, but also to discuss Italian American culture and heritage, because I don't. I mean, like I said, people aren't nowadays. They're not negative towards us, but it's kind of one note. It's like oh, you're Italian, Goomba, and we're so much more than that. We're so much more than that.
yeah,
Yeah, for
exactly.
sure.
People don't, that's where it's like, it's nice to show another light of it. Like people just don't understand, like even there's northern versus southern Italians or just the different areas to your point. Like you said, some girl in Ohio will say you're not Italian and stuff. Like it's just so, I don't know. You're right. We're way more than that. So it's good to show it off for sure. So thanks for that compliment. I appreciate it, man. It feels good to know we're on the right path.
No, it's good. I'm so proud of what you guys are doing. And Mike Marino turned me on to you guys, and he's a dear friend, and I love Mike. And it's I was really happy to be a part of it. So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Mike's the best, man. We have a good time when he's in Chicago too, for sure, at his shows and stuff. He's so freaking
Yeah,
hilarious.
he's so funny.
He's hilarious. He's hilarious. He's crazy. We did a pilot. He wrote this pilot called Resurrecting Jersey. It was very funny, and we shot it a couple years ago, and I played his best friend, and we had a great shtick together. I love the guy. I mean, I'm very close to him, and he's I like to say he's the second hardest working guy in showbiz because I'm the hardest, but it's, it's probably not true. But he works his butt off. That guy, he works his butt off. So
Mhm. Yeah, no, he grinds, man, for sure. He's live every day. He's freaking shows all the time. Like, yeah, he definitely grinds. But that's the Italian
Yeah.
American way, man. That's how we're raised, hustle and work hard, and you know what I mean.
blue
We had no
collar,
other choice.
bring your lunch pail and get ready to get to work, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and also Ronnie too. We obviously spoke a lot about Joe Mantegna. You mentioned also he's like your not just your inspiration, but like your mentor as well. And you worked with him on multiple projects. The I'm Not a Comedian, I'm Lenny Bruce, Criminal Minds, and oh, it was the West Side of Brooklyn, or West of Brooklyn, was it called?
West of Brooklyn, yeah, west of
Yeah,
Brooklyn.
yeah, which I'm gonna definitely check out. But just working alongside, what is that experience like? Like you mentioned he is like a mentor to you. What makes him a mentor? Like what does he say to you? What are some of the anecdotes from him? Like anything you could share?
Yeah, Joe's like honestly, I lost my dad, I'd say about 18 years ago. had to a dad. So like
Oh wow.
I, that's how I see him. And he has two daughters, and so he tells me I'm the son he never had. So that's always
Oh
good. So no, we're that close. I mean, it's that close. But
wow.
Joe, here's in terms of showbiz, I mean, the guy's so damn talented, right? But that's one thing, but he's even a better human being. And so he paved the way before me, and so I'm just following in his footsteps. I mean, I learned a lot of lessons from Joe. He always works. He's always gets another job. People want to be with him, and that's because he's a mensch. He's the nicest guy in the world, and he's talented, and he backs it up. He's not a pain in the ass. He doesn't need anything, and he doesn't want anything. He just does the job. He's very, very cool guy, and so I've learned so much from him in terms of being an actor when we started, because we've done more than what you mentioned. We've done a lot of stuff together. But because I'm not a comedian, I'm Lenny Bruce, is a one-man show that I wrote, and literally Joe and I would be sitting in a theater for 6 hours a day, just me and him.
Hmm.
What he brought to my performance was, this Joe Mantegna sitting here and I'm taking up his day. I better be great. I can't mess around. I can't, you know. And so I feel like he made me a better actor just by his presence. And because I was like, I want to be great today, not just good. I want him to be proud of me. And so I worked hard and hard and hard. And then he gave me some notes that were like, it's not going to work, I'm telling you. But I don't argue with him. I just say, are you sure? Are you sure? And the few gems he gave me are the best parts of the show. And I was like, you were so right. And so just it's nice to have somebody you look up to and you admire, and for the right reasons, and you know that they're authentic. I mean, this guy is the best. I've been out with him places, and people don't know who he is if there's somebody who never doesn't know who he is. And it's like, well, we get to talking, and Joe always engages people, and they're like, well, what do you do, Joe? He says, well, I do a little this and that. He doesn't even talk about, he's just not that guy.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
He's humble. Yeah.
Oh, to say the least. This cute little old guy was like asking him questions. Joe's like, well, my family was in this business and that business. He doesn't mention it. He doesn't
That's
mention
Wow.
so
it.
cool, man. That's how I always am too. If people like, I don't know, I never. That's how you gotta be is humble. That's how you
You
grow.
gotta downplay things sometimes. Sometimes, yeah, it's. I feel like when you say too much about what you do, that's always a bad sign that it's you're not doing the right things. I don't know. That's just how I come up. But when I hear people go like, "Yeah, I do. I got like six businesses. I got like all this money." It's like, it's always a red flag. I'm like, I don't know about
Well,
that.
it's tricky because in showbiz, you are your calling card, you are your resume.
Yeah,
And if you talk about it too much, there's a desperation in that and
Yeah,
it's unattractive. But if you haven't gotten real shots yet, then people don't know what you do. So it's a balance. It's this weird dance, that like, it's like how do you put yourself out there but do it with grace?
I think
With
it's like what we spoke about being authentic. You just gotta be yourself. And listen, being on yourself that could mean you are a little bit more loud about it, and you are. But listen. Can read it when you're being real, when you're being fake.
no
It
doubt.
doesn't even matter sometimes if you're saying too much, because if you say it with grace and you're saying it for the right reason.
That's right. That's right. By the way, I just noticed I am beet red. I went to the beach yesterday. I'm burnt like a crisp. I can't
Oh,
believe it.
I can't
I
wait till
didn't
we get
realize.
some sun here, man.
Yeah, no, my daughter finished her junior year of high school yesterday. It was her last day, so we went to the beach.
oh,
And
there you go.
this is what 2 hours at the beach did. I look at the lobster.
It's all right.
That's
Your
all
belly
right.
will turn in a nice tan by
Yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah, I
This
love
is
it,
what
man.
I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. It's all good.
Yeah,
So
but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, but no, honestly, Ronnie, I know I love everything. We love everything that you said, and just hearing your relationship with Joe Mantegna and like all the work you're doing, and you're hustling, you're working hard, being Italian American and being authentic. I hope people watch this interview and get inspired and learn something today. And thank you so much for coming on. Honest, we had a blast, and hope to stay in touch and do this again too sometime.
Oh, anytime, guys. I'd love to. And let me know if you guys want to come out and see the show in Skokie. I'll make some tickets happen. May
Okay.
30th through June 8th. We have and if anybody's looking for tickets, it's Bill W and Dr. Bob on stage.com.
Okay.
And
Perfect.
so yeah, come hang out, and this was a real treat. Thank you.
Yeah,
Ah,
love
thanks,
it.
Ronnie.
Yeah, thanks,
All
Ron.
right,
Appreciate it, man. We'll be in
all
touch.
right.
Always a pleasure.
You got it.